G'day peeps, my name is Scripps and welcome back to another speed paint. Finally, it's been over a week at the very least, and I should have been uploading multiple speed paints by this time already. And I know if you've been keeping up with this channel specifically, you know that I've been following the crowd. I've been following the herd like any other artist YouTuber, and I've been taking on the infamous Inktober gauntlet. And you're wondering, Scripps, it's the 25th, where's the second episode of the Hollow Knight drawings that you were gonna do like at least 7 of in like one video? And, you know, this is where I would say I would have uploaded them if I had made them in the first place. That is right, people, I have failed Inktober. In my hubris, in my foolish stupidity and ignorance, I have failed the people, I have disappointed, and I've disappointed myself because I set myself up for a challenge that, in retrospect, was pretty damn near unbeatable. Hence the reason that there's also only 3 drawings in this video and not 7, because this video is actually just scrapping up some of the last dying pieces of this challenge. Although you can't actually feel that on these drawings. I really did put a lot of effort into them, and I actually do think that these are the drawings that I'm most proud of, and I think they turned out really well. I drew them in a different style, so I thought, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna admit to my defeat and I'm gonna make a video about it, where I only showcase what's not even half of the drawings that I should have been showing off. A long time ago, really. But you know what, enough of being a sad apologetic lump, let's just move on to some of the drawings, and then I'll leave it up to you guys whether or not if these drawings actually were better, which I think they are, or if they were worse than some of the last things I drew. That's completely up to you guys. First up, we got the prompt for day 8. Which was frail. And I guess that's also kind of the cool thing, because now I only have 3 drawings, so I can actually take my time to kind of talk about them. But when I thought of frail or fragile or weak, the first thing I think of when it comes to Hollow Knight is the Grey Mourner, and kind of like the backstory there is to this character that, while a little bit unexplored, is still really great. I feel like it really adds to the game. And its like emotional factor and making it feel deeper. And I actually think that Grey Mourner is also a very good depiction of Hollownest itself, what it used to be, how fantastic and awesome it used to be, and how far it's fallen, and just how it's just an absolute hollow shell of its former image, because that's exactly what the Grey Mourner is. There's even some or not even pictures, there's statues of her, and we also get like an outline of her that we see in the dream fight against the Dung Defender, where we see her standing up along the other knights of Hollownest, and it almost makes me upset that they didn't make like at least a dream battle or some sort of addition to the Godhome DLC maybe, where you could fight the Grey Mourner in her prime, because she looks awesome. Like even just from that silhouette, she kind of has like her antennae which are kind of standing up. She looks way more like spiffy and spry, kind of looks a little bit like a buffer hornet really, but she also has the freaking coolest weapon in the game, in my opinion. Like, we only get a slight look into it, but it seems to be just a gigantic like nail blade, which would have been awesome. It might even be bigger than the one that Sly has, and I think it could have just been a really cool boss fight. But you know, it's one of those things that they put in for the sake of expanding on the lore, you know, something they definitely did successfully, because you did want this character to be part of the journey. This is also where I started deviating, if I actually had to talk about the drawing itself. This is also where I started deviating a bit from the style that I had sort of established, because I sort of wanted the hard contrasts, and I wanted etching, and I wanted to sort of practice that. But I allowed a little bit of the digital me to get into this challenge. I didn't stick too much to the traditional rules, and instead I just sort of turned it into a grayscale water painting, or what is it called, watercolor painting. And I really feel like that fit well, because there's so many nice nuances of gray that could really help flesh out this drawing. And I like the pose, I like the way that I ended up having the sword sort of standing there abandoned, her holding up the delicate flower, which is obviously a part of her quest, where you have to deliver it to her dead lover, without getting hit once, by the way, one of the hardest quests in the game in my opinion. And then I even wrote OY after I was done recording because I sort of looked back on some of the recording and some of her voice, and a lot of people really hated the way that when you lose that quest, which you're gonna do often, she just screams OY. It's so sad, such a sad character, perfect for this sort of grayscale, softer Inktober challenge in my opinion. And for day 9, we got Swing. And Swing was not as easy. It didn't come to me, at least, as easy as Frail did, because there was a Frail character in the game that I could immediately think of. But when it comes to Swing, then I couldn't really think of anything except like Hornet swinging around with her silk, which was actually an idea I thought of drawing, but I thought that would be kind of bland, just drawing Hornet kind of like swinging around. There's a lot of fan art about that. And it's not that I don't like Hornet, I freaking love Hornet, but I don't want to contribute to like something there's already a huge mass of really high quality content for. So I instead thought of Swing as in like very literal swinging a weapon, or being mid-swing when it comes to a weapon, or something like that. I thought combat mechanics, and then I thought of the False Knight because he's the character I believe in the game, maybe except for the watch defenders, I don't remember what you call them, the watchtower fighters, who has the widest swing when it comes to attacking. He swings and wails his freaking mace around, and he's a really good first boss battle, because he really has that intimidating, like, opposing feel to him. Of course the effect wears off after you beat him like freaking 500 times and hand his ass to him, but that doesn't matter, he's still a cool character and I think he deserves a bit more credit. Another character, by the way, that I wish we could have fought in their prime. Because if I believe the lore about the knight, or that knight himself, is that the real knight that was hired by the White King or whatever, he got killed by this little false knight character while he was asleep. Very cowardly move, and that's sort of like the cowardly thing that they want to play off with him, that he's a literal maggot inside the shell of what was supposed to be a glorious champion. And I really would have liked to see an actual like amazing boss battle with him. I was wondering if that was what the dream fight was, but I think even in that battle you fight just an angrier version of the maggot. Which of course is a real shame, but you know, Team Cherry did what they could, and I thought that it's still a cool addition to the lore, that you know, what you're fighting is actually not even the best of what this character could provide for you. But when it came to actually drawing this character, then this is where I started adding a bit of layering, or a little bit of soft shading as you would say. Something you don't use a lot in Inktober. Granted, in Inktober it's actually mostly exclusively hard shading, because you can't really like fade out ink, it makes sense, unless you maybe have a different colored ink, I don't know. But I could easily think of how that would ruin a bunch of pens if you tried to do that. But I really like the grayscale style that I created with this Frail drawing, and I also just wanted to challenge myself to do some really good drawing. And I feel like this, even though it wasn't really, if we're still talking Inktober, then I definitely failed the challenge when it came to the stark contrasts, but when it came to challenging myself, then I think I did pretty good. Because I'm not usually very good with shading, and I really felt that the False Knight's like round body and his round, very hard shapes actually really helped me learn how to shade stuff. And I feel like this is one of my first very successful attempts at proper grayscale shading, so I was kind of proud of that. And I'll give myself a little bit of a pat on the back there, even though I still failed Inktober horribly. I still failed it. I gotta give credit where credit's due. And for our final drawing of this year's Inktober, I know, it's terrible, it's sad, and it's my fault. It's all my fault, and I'm so sorry that I'm not able to provide anymore, but this is the last piece we got for this time around, folks. And guess what? It wasn't even an easy one, because day 10's prompt was pattern. And if you Google Hollow Knight pattern, you might find some different merch. Maybe you'll find a little plushie here and there that has a pattern on it, but there's nothing in Hollow Knight that has like a pattern, except maybe an attack pattern. The only thing that I could really think of could have something that would be pattern-esque would be the different charms in the game. And I didn't want to just draw down any simple charm. I wanted to create something really high quality. I've sort of been drawing scenes and entire characters these past couple of times I did Inktober, or did the Inktober drawing. So now I just wanted to make something that, while it was simple, I was gonna put a lot of effort into to make look as clean and neat as possible. And I think I succeeded. I think I succeeded to some sort of degree, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to do not the King Soul, I don't remember what the other one, I think the Void Heart is what you call it, the Void Heart charm. And I decided to do that one. I was actually kind of fighting between either that one or the King charm. And that was for obvious reasons, because those are the charms with the most story context. That, and then I actually also got some inspiration because I saw, I think, maybe I didn't see the Void Heart, but I definitely saw the King's charm as like a vinyl, and I thought the high detail on that looked really cool. But I wanted to pick the Void Heart to make up for the fact that I didn't do a lot of high contrast. So I wanted to do something that was very, very high contrast, with stark whites and stark blacks, just completely enveloping this piece and making it look as clean as possible throughout. And it was a little bit hard. It was a little hard to keep my line steady, and especially when you draw on kind of a big canvas, it's very hard to draw something that neat. I actually think circles are very, very hard to do very neatly, and it's funny enough, it's actually something that I've seen even people like tattooers, professional tattooers, and really professional artists have a lot of trouble drawing the perfect circle. And I was definitely struggling with that on this one. It's a very simple drawing, but it's one that also requires that I focus a lot on making every side look identical. It can't look too droopy, otherwise it'll look weird. But at the same time I needed to maintain this flowy shape to it. So there was definitely enough challenge in this, even though it might not look from it, or look like it from a, I don't know, from an overhead perspective, I guess I could say. So, if you had to pick any one of these, which one would be your favorite, and how disappointed are you with me on a scale from 9 to 10? I will not allow it to go any lower than that, because I am definitely disappointed in myself. Although, I will just be calm, serious, and honest now. I think it's okay. It's okay to lose challenges like that, but just the fact that you threw in your attempt in the first place, that could really help. And I really feel like, even though it was only like, I don't know, an 11-day Inktober for me, then I still feel like I learned a lot just by pressing myself or forcing myself to work under certain conditions. And that's something that I think Inktober's all about. It's all about learning a new craft, especially if you're a digital artist. And that's why I really plan, or hope to at least, to be able to participate traditionally next year. But that's next year though. Yeah, I'm just underlining, that's next year, next October. Long time until then, and I won't have to worry about drawing 30 days in a row until then. Which, you know, I don't really feel bad about. I also heard that a lot of you guys are participating next year, so you know, I'll see you there. I hope to see you at the finish line, because I really hope to someday be able to do this challenge completely. I'm really upset that I haven't been able to do it yet, but I'm gonna keep struggling until I do it someday. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. We're getting really close to actual Halloween now, so I hope you're all having a wonderful time. I hope especially you guys in the Americas are enjoying all the spooks, because you get to enjoy Halloween way more than we do here in Europe. But I hope you all have a good time, and I hope I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.